I paid rent for 9 years. When my brother moved in for free, Mom asked for more, so I left her with the freeloaders. The text came in at 8:04 a.m. on the 1st of the month. I remember the exact time because I was sitting in the parking lot of my new apartment building, engine running, hands wrapped around a gas station coffee I'd bought to celebrate. 31 years old, folding chair from Target as my only furniture, mattress on the floor, 3 boxes of books I hadn't unpacked yet. Rent is due. Don't forget the new amount. I stared at my mother's text for a long time. Then I typed back 4 words, set my phone face down on the passenger seat, and drove to work in the first real silence I'd experienced in years. I don't live there anymore. The next morning, I had 37 missed calls, but I'm getting ahead of myself because to understand what those 4 words cost me and what they gave back, you need to understand what 9 years of being the family ATM actually looks like from the inside. Spoiler, it doesn't look like anything dramatic. That's the part nobody warns you about. It looks like Tuesday. It looks like a bank transfer on the 2nd of every month. It looks like telling yourself that family helps family, right up until the moment you realize you're the only one in the family that definition applies to. My name is Emily Carter, and I am a billing coordinator at a regional healthcare management firm in Columbus, Ohio. I'm good at my job. I have been good at my job for 8 years. I understand invoices, payment cycles, accounts receivable, and the particular psychological warfare of following up on overdue balances. The irony of that skill set, given everything that happened, is not lost on me. I moved into my parents' basement apartment at 22, fresh out of a lease that had gone sideways when my roommate decided to move to Portland without mentioning it until 11 days before the first. My dad, Mark, a quiet, methodical man who spent 30 years as a civil engineer and approached most problems the way he approached load-bearing calculations, offered me the basement as a temporary solution. Private entrance on the side of the house, small kitchenette, bathroom with a hot water situation that was, let's say, aspirational. We'd need something for rent, he said, in the careful way he said things, to cover the mortgage contribution. Of course, I said. $800 a month, the first of every month, transferred before the 3rd, no excuses. That was the agreement. It was also, I would eventually understand, the only formal agreement in the entire household, the only one with terms, the only one anyone ever collected on. My mother, Linda, and I want to be precise about her because she is not a monster. She is something more complicated and in some ways harder to reckon with, is the kind of woman who runs a family the way a general runs a campaign. Organized, decisive, deeply certain that her instincts about people are correct. She is warm when warmth serves the mission. She is capable of extraordinary generosity toward people she has decided deserve it. I spent a lot of years trying to be one of those people. My brother Ryan was 34. Ryan had always been, in my mother's internal ledger, someone the world owed a debt to. Not because he was cruel. Ryan was actually pretty funny when he wasn't asking you for something, but because he moved through life with the specific confidence of a person who had never once been told that his situation was his own problem to solve. He dropped out of community college at 19. Mom said he was finding himself. He got fired from a sales job at 24. Mom said the manager had it out for him. He married Brittany at 27. Brittany was the kind of person who treated every room like it was a waiting area for somewhere better. She had opinions about everything and accountability for nothing. Together, they had 2 kids, Mason, 6, and Lily, 4, who were perfectly innocent children being raised in a household where nobody modeled what effort actually looked like. I'm trying to be fair here. I'm aware that reads harsh, but I watched Ryan for 30 years, and I watched me, and the difference in how those 2 case studies were managed by the same woman tells you everything you need to know about what was coming. The announcement happened on a Sunday in April, which I know because I had just come from a grocery run and was still in my coat when Mom said it, casually, the way you announce the weather forecast. Ryan and Brittany are staying here for a while. I put down my bags. Upstairs? She smiled. In the guest rooms. Both of them? And the kids? It's family, Emily. I waited for the next sentence. The one where she said, and they'll contribute to the household, or Ryan's got some job leads, or literally any indication that the words staying for a while had a definition attached to them. No next sentence came. They moved in the following Thursday. I told myself it wasn't my business. They were upstairs. I was downstairs. My entrance was on the side of the house. I could theoretically go days without meaningful contact. I was wrong, but I told myself that. The first sign was the laundry. My detergent, a specific brand I use because I have a minor skin sensitivity, the kind of boring adult detail nobody invents, started disappearing faster than I was using it. I'd bought a large bottle on a Tuesday. By the following Sunday, it was gone. I bought another one and wrote my name on it in Sharpie. It disappeared too, name and all. I told myself it was an accident. The second sign was Ryan's truck in my spot. My parking spot was on the side of the house, near my entrance, marked with a little orange cone my dad had put there years ago. Ryan started parking there. I'd come home from work and be blocked in or blocked out and have to either wait for Ryan to wake up, which on a Tuesday could be 11 in the morning, or park on the street and haul my things around the front. I mentioned it to Mom once. She said, "He doesn't mean anything by it. Just ask him to move." Ryan, when I asked him, said, yeah, totally, and moved it twice and then stopped moving it. I told myself it was temporary. The third sign was the ceiling. My bedroom was directly below what had been the guest room and was now Mason and Lily's shared space. Children's feet at 6 in the morning sound, acoustically, like small determined animals animals who have decided the floor is an enemy and must be defeated every morning. 6 a.m., sometimes 5:50. Once, memorably, at 5:17. I bought earplugs. They helped approximately 20%. I told myself it would settle down once the kids adjusted to the new place. That was month 1. Month 2 was when the utilities conversation happened. It was a Wednesday evening. I was making pasta. I heard my mom's footsteps on the basement stairs. She had a specific rhythm, deliberate and certain. And then she knocked twice and came in carrying a folded sheet of paper. She had prepared a document. That detail matters. She didn't come down to talk. She came down with paper, which means this was not a conversation. This was a notification. "We need to talk about the arrangement," she said. I turned down the stove. "Okay. With Ryan's family here, the utilities have increased significantly. Electric, water, internet. The grocery bills have almost doubled." She set the paper on my counter. "Starting next month, we need $1,100 from you." I looked at the paper. It had numbers on it. A column of utility costs, a column of percentages, a line at the bottom. She had actually made a spreadsheet. My mother, who did not have a job, had spent time on a spreadsheet to justify charging me $300 more per month while her son slept until noon for free. "Ryan pays nothing," I said. "Ryan has children. Ryan has children, and I have been here 9 years. That's different." "How is that different?" Her expression did the thing it did when she felt a conversation was becoming impertinent. "Because you're single. You have fewer expenses, fewer responsibilities. You're in a position to help." I stood very still. "You're telling me that I should pay more because I have less. I'm telling you that family takes care of family. Which half of the family does that apply to?" She folded her arms. "This isn't easy for me either." I looked at her, at the spreadsheet, at the document she had prepared to extract more money from the one person in the household who had never, in 9 years, been late. "Okay," I said. She looked briefly surprised, then composed. "Thank you for understanding." "Sure," I said. She went back upstairs. I finished making my pasta, ate it standing at the counter, then opened my laptop and started researching apartments. I want to be precise about the 3 weeks that followed, because people assume I was impulsive, that I blew up in a moment of anger and made a decision I'd have to walk back. I was not impulsive. I was a billing coordinator. I understood the mathematics of untenable arrangements. I found a 1-bedroom apartment 20 minutes away, $875 a month, 2nd floor, coin laundry in the building, which felt like a luxury I hadn't fully appreciated until I no longer had to write my name on soap. I toured it on a Thursday after work, applied on Friday, had my approval by Monday. Then I started moving, piece by piece. Boxes in my car trunk after work, a load on Saturday morning while Ryan was still asleep and Brittany was occupied with the kids. My books, my winter clothes, my kitchen things, the little shelf unit I'd assembled myself 3 years ago from a hardware store kit, my good lamp. Nobody noticed. Or if they noticed, nobody asked. On the last day of the month, the first of the following month arrived, and my mother sent her text at 8:04 a.m., and I sent mine at 8:06, and then I turned my phone face down and drove to work with the windows down, even though it was 53 degrees because I needed the cold air. I was gone, just like that. 37 missed calls. I counted them over my gas station coffee the next morning. 22 from Mom, 9 from Ryan, 1 from a number I didn't recognize that turned out to be Brittany calling from a friend's phone, which told me something about how seriously they were taking this, and 1 from Dad. Dad's voicemail was 11 seconds. "Hey kiddo, just call me when you're ready, okay?" I called him that afternoon, sitting on my mattress on the floor with my back against the wall. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, hi Dad." The pause that followed was the kind that has weight in it, not uncomfortable, just honest. "Are you safe?" he asked. I had prepared myself for some version of "your mother is upset," or "you should have given notice," or "we need to talk about this as a family." I had not prepared myself for that question. It found something under my sternum and pressed on it. "Yes," I said. "I found an apartment. I signed a lease. I'm okay." He exhaled, a long, slow breath I recognized as the one he used when he'd been holding something and finally let it go. "Good," he said. "That's good. I know Mom's upset. Your mother is..." "Yes." A pause. "Emily, she never told me she was raising your rent." I sat up. "What?" "She told me you offered. Said you wanted to help more with Ryan's family there, and that it was your idea." The room felt very still. "Dad, I never offered." She came downstairs with a spreadsheet. A long silence. Then quietly, "I believe you." 3 words. Simple, small, exactly right. "She made a document," I said. "She itemized the utilities. She presented it like a billing statement." He didn't say anything for a moment. I could hear the particular silence of the living room upstairs. Muffled television, something small being knocked over, Brittany's voice cutting through on a complaint I couldn't quite make out. "Your brother has 60 days, Dad said finally. "Pay something or leave. I'm telling your mother tonight." I blinked. "You're serious?" I should have been serious a long time ago. That was the last useful thing I could have heard. I let it settle. "Thanks, Dad." "This place missed you already," he said, which was his way of saying he did, without making it too much of a thing. He was an engineer. He communicated in load-bearing understatements. Mom appeared outside my office building the next afternoon at 12:47 p.m. I know the time because I had just badged back in from lunch and checked my phone out of habit, and then I looked up and she was standing near the front entrance with her purse on her elbow and her arms crossed in the posture she used when she was prepared to be reasonable at someone. My coworker Jenna Alvarez, who had worked the desk beside mine for 4 years and had the particular professional empathy of someone who had witnessed many things without comment, looked at me and said quietly, "Want me to stay?" "No," I said. "I've got it." I went outside. My mother was not a woman who raised her voice in public. That was a point of pride with her, and under ordinary circumstances, I respected it. She managed her confrontations with the controlled temperature of a woman who had read about emotional regulation somewhere and decided it was a useful tool. "Emily," she said, "you embarrassed me. I moved out," I said. "You abandoned your family without notice. I paid rent for 9 years without a lease. Notice works both ways." Her mouth opened, closed. "That basement was not a real rental," she said. "Then you should not have charged me like one." Something crossed her face. A recalibration. She shifted slightly, changed angles. "You have to understand," she said. "Your brother is struggling. So was I said. "For 9 years, I was a 22-year-old who needed help, and you gave me a rate sheet. That's completely different." "I know it is. That's the problem." She looked at me the way she had looked at me my entire life when I said something that didn't fit the story she'd written. Like the words were in the right language, but the wrong accent. "You have no idea," she said, and her voice dropped into something that was meant to sound like weariness, but landed closer to admission. "How much we depended on your money. Not me. My money." She'd been depending on the transfer, not the daughter. I nodded slowly. "I know, Mom. I figured that out." For the first time since I'd known her, 31 years, my entire life, something uncertain moved across her face. "I'll come Saturday for my last boxes," I told her. "After that, please don't come to my workplace." She stiffened. "Or what? Or I'll ask the front desk to call security." I said it without heat, without drama. The same tone I used when I called about overdue balances at work. Factual, final. She stared at me like she was meeting someone new. Maybe she was. Saturday, I brought Jenna and her husband, Derek. Derek was a large, quiet man who had once calmly talked a belligerent vendor off a loading dock by simply standing next to Jenna and saying nothing. His presence was, and I mean this practically, architectural. I wasn't afraid of Ryan making a scene. I was tired of having to be afraid of it alone. The house looked the same from the outside. Same porch, same cracked driveway, same flower bed that Mom kept meticulously in years past, but which now had some weeds coming through the left edge she hadn't gotten to yet. Inside was different. The living room had been colonized. Toys across every surface. A juice ring on the carpet that had dried into something permanent. 3 cereal bowls on the coffee table. Brittany was on the couch with her phone, one foot tucked under her, while Lily drew on an envelope with a red marker in the specific focused way children have when they know they're not supposed to. Ryan came out of the kitchen eating cereal from the box. "Well," he said, "look who finally showed up." I did not look at him. I went straight to the basement stairs. The apartment smelled like bleach and old carpet and the particular quiet of a space that had been emptied out. My books, my winter coats, the kitchen box. I loaded systematically, the way I did everything, while Mom followed me downstairs and stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. "You could have handled this differently," she said. "I did handle it," I said. "This is how I handled it. Adults give notice. Landlords give leases. Don't be flip with me." I turned around, held her gaze. "You wanted tenant money and daughter loyalty at the same time. You don't get both. You picked. Now you live with the pick." Her face went red. From upstairs, Ryan's voice. "Mom, where are the paper towels?" She yelled back that she was busy. One of the kids screamed. Something fell. Something ceramic from the sound of it. Mom closed her eyes. I almost felt bad for her in that moment. Almost. Then she opened her eyes and said, "What if you paid a smaller amount, just while Ryan gets settled?" I looked at her for a long time. "Ryan has been getting settled since I was in high school. He has a family, Emily. And I have a life." I picked up my final box, nodded to Jenna. We walked out. Derek held the door. The weeks that followed operated at 2 different speeds. My apartment was slow, peaceful in a way I hadn't experienced since before the basement, maybe before ever. I unpacked my books. I bought a real chair. I learned that my upstairs neighbor was a nurse who left at 5:30 a.m. and came home at 6 p.m. and made approximately no noise. I discovered that the corner cafe 2 blocks over made a cortado that was one of the better things I'd tasted in recent memory. I started sleeping through the night. I hadn't done that in 2 years. My mother's speed was different. Her texts came in waves, accusatory at first, abandonment, betrayal, daughters have responsibilities, then shifting, over weeks, toward something that was trying to be plaintive, but kept coming out as another form of pressure. She never asked how my apartment was. Not once. Dad called every Sunday. The first few calls were careful. Civil engineering conversations about weather, my car, work, both of us moving around the larger thing like furniture in a small room. Then one Sunday in late May, his voice carried something different. "Things are bad here," he said. "I was at my kitchen table with leftover soup in a mug." "How bad?" "Electric bill almost doubled. Kids broke the towel bar in the upstairs bathroom. Ryan says he's job hunting. I haven't seen him submit one application. Your mother and Brittany fought twice this week over the grocery budget." A pause. "And the hot water situation." "What hot water situation?" 4 people showering before 7 a.m. There's no hot water left by 6:15. I knew that problem intimately from the other side. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Already did it. 60 days. Ryan pays rent or they go." I put down my mug. "You actually said it out loud. To both of them. In the kitchen. Your mother cried." Ryan said I was being unreasonable. I told him unreasonable was 9 years of his sister's rent, subsidizing his lifestyle, and I was done with unreasonable. I sat with that for a moment. "Dad, yeah, thank you. Don't thank me. I should have said it in April. Thanksgiving was a decision I almost didn't make." Dad asked me privately. A Tuesday text, simple and direct. "Would mean a lot if you came. 2 hours, and I'll walk you out myself if it gets gets bad. I respected the honesty of that. He wasn't promising me a peaceful family dinner. He was promising me backup. I drove over at 2 p.m. Ryan was in the recliner watching a game. Brittany was in the kitchen telling my mother the turkey was dry, which she said without apparently registering that my mother had cooked the turkey. The kids were running circuits around the dining room table. The house smelled like it always had at Thanksgiving. Roasted meat and my mother's specific brand of scented candles, but under it was something else now, something slightly stale, the smell of a house running above its capacity. Mom greeted me with a hug that lasted exactly the right amount of time to be technically warm. We made it 11 minutes into dinner. Ryan set down his fork and said quietly, in the tone he always used when he wanted something to sound casual, "Must be nice, having your little apartment and zero responsibilities." I put down my fork too. "It is," I said. Brittany's eyes went to the ceiling. Ryan shifted in his chair. "Some of us," he said, "have actual families to support." I looked at him directly. "Who supports yours?" The table went completely silent. Ryan's jaw tightened. "Excuse me?" I asked who supports your family, because for the first 4 months you were here, it was partially my $800. Then Mom tried to make it $1,100. So I'm genuinely asking, who's supporting your family? Emily. Mom's voice was a warning. "I'm not starting anything," I said. "I'm answering a question he started." Ryan laughed the way he laughed when something had actually landed, bitter, a little hollow. "You think paying rent makes you better than me?" "No," I said. "I think paying my own rent makes me different from you. I don't think that's better. I think that's basic." Dad placed his napkin on the table. When my father put his napkin down like that, slowly, precisely, as if he were completing a calculation, it meant the thing that followed was not a conversation. It was a conclusion. "Ryan," he said, "your sister paid $800 a month to live in that basement for 9 years. That's $86,400. I hadn't done that math. I did it now, in about 4 seconds, and felt something large and cold move through my chest. "You have been here 4 months. You have contributed $0. You will pay rent in January or you will move out in January. I have made this decision." Ryan's face went through several phases. Disbelief, anger, the particular look of someone searching for a loophole. Mom whispered, "Mark." Dad didn't look at her. "This is finished." Ryan shoved his chair back hard enough that it hit the wall. He grabbed his jacket off the back and went out through the front door. Brittany followed, pausing just long enough to say, "This is so unfair," in the direction of no one in particular. Mom sat with her napkin pressed to her mouth. For once, nobody looked at me to solve it. I stayed for pie, hugged Dad on the porch on the way out under the cold November air. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what exactly?" "For letting it go as long as it did." It wasn't an erasure of 9 years. It wasn't a reimbursement check or a retroactive recognition of what those Sundays and those Tuesday mornings and those 9 years of transfers had actually cost me. It didn't fix the fact that I'd bought my own laundry detergent and written my own name on it in Sharpie, like a person marking territory in a house they were paying for. But it was real. It was his. "Okay, Dad," I said. "I'll call Sunday." Ryan and Brittany moved into a duplex on the other side of town by January 15th, not because they became different people. People don't generally do that. But Dad changed one thing, the lock on the safety net, and it turned out that was the only thing that needed changing. Ryan got a job at a regional warehouse company. Dispatch coordinator, $38,000 a year. Brittany started part-time at a dental office. They paid their own rent. They bought their own laundry detergent. It took exactly one closed door to produce what 9 years of me hadn't. I don't say that with satisfaction. I say it with the specific tiredness of someone who finally understands what they were substituting for. Mom called me in February. Her voice was different. Not warm, not cold. Somewhere in the register of a woman who had prepared for a conversation and was going to have it regardless. "The house is calmer," she said. I waited. "Your father thinks I owe you an apology. Do you think you do?" A silence that lasted long enough to mean something. "I shouldn't have asked for more money," she said, "the way I did it." It wasn't the apology I would have written for her. It didn't include the favoritism, the 9 years, the spreadsheet, the "we depended on your money" admission that I still turned over sometimes like a stone in my pocket. It was the smallest version of the thing that would have made it right, but it was the first crack in 31 years of a particular kind of wall. "Thank you," I said. "We are not a movie family. We will not become one." Ryan barely makes eye contact at family events. Brittany acts as though I am a piece of furniture in the rooms I enter. Mom and I keep a civil, careful distance that is better than what we had and probably as good as it gets. But Dad comes to my apartment on the second Saturday of every month. He brings coffee from the good place near his office. He figured out which one I liked after the second visit because he is an engineer and he pays attention to data. He fixes things I haven't asked him to fix. Last month, it was a cabinet hinge. The month before, my bathroom faucet had developed a slow drip and he had parts in his jacket pocket when he arrived, which means he had thought about it in advance, which means he cared. He always says the same thing before he leaves. Looks around the apartment, the real chair, the unpacked books, the cortado I make now with the little machine I bought on sale, and says, "This place fits you." He's right. It's small. It's mine. The upstairs neighbor leaves at 5:30 and comes home at 6 and makes no noise, and I sleep through the night every night without exception. I used to believe that being a good daughter meant fitting myself around everyone else's needs until my own shape was unrecognizable. That love was demonstrated through sacrifice, and that sacrifice, if you did it long enough, would eventually be noticed and valued and returned. I was a billing coordinator. I understood receivables. I should have known sooner that some debts are never intended to be paid. The morning I sent those 4 words, "I don't live there anymore," I turned off my phone and drove to work in the the cold air with the windows down and felt something shift behind my sternum that I didn't have a word for yet. I have one now. Relief, the specific, solid, permanent kind. The kind that comes from finally sending a final invoice and walking away from the account.